On August 26th of 1746, near the colonial settlement of Deerfield, Massachusetts, 8-year-old Sammy Allen was helping to bring in the hay with his father, uncle, siblings, and cousins. The Allen family's homestead was near the fields, but recently they had taken refuge in the village due to reports of raids by the French and their Indian allies. That day, the Allen family returned to their fields, and guarded by a few British soldiers, they attempted a harvest.
Run, Sammy!
By the time the attack was over, the Indians had killed one guard and another fled. They killed Sammy's father, who ran forward to defend his children. Sammy's brother, an uncle, one sister, and several others were also killed. Sammy's other sister was tomahawked in the head, but survived. Sammy ran faster and struggled harder than the other children, so much so that one of the Schaghticoke Indians, who admired Sammy's bravery, decided to carry him off, unharmed, to French Canada. A year and a half later, Sammy's mother was still in deep mourning for her slaughtered family. In February, her brother Sergeant John Hawks and 2 British soldiers ventured 300 miles to Canada on snowshoes. They brought along a French officer who was a prisoner they hoped to exchange for Sammy. But when they reached the French fort, no one could locate the boy. Slowly the story emerged. An Indian from a nearby village had lost his own son. As was often done with captured children, he had chosen to adopt Sammy and was now keeping him in hiding. Hawks persisted, and the Indians finally delivered Sammy to the French fort, where his uncle waited. In came Sammy, clad head to toe in Indian clothing. When he saw his own uncle again, Sammy refused to speak English and pretended not to know him. In the days that followed, John Hawks and his crew kept Sammy close to them as they daringly crisscrossed back through enemy territory, afraid that at any moment the Indians might recapture them. Hawks returned triumphant to Deerfield and brought Sammy back to the arms of his overjoyed mother. By the 1760s, the Indian Wars were over. It felt safe enough to move to land that the Allen family had acquired in Ashfield, 10 miles up the river into the hills. Samuel married his cousin, Zilpha Hawks, whose father had also been killed in the Deerfield attack. Like every other subsistence farmer of that time, Samuel girdled ancient trees and felled them. He used his oxen to pull them into huge piles that he then set on fire to make a product called potash to be exported to England. His many children were put to work on the land. Samuel Allen served as lieutenant in the Revolution. 10 years later, he was caught up in the Shays' Rebellion, led by the farmers from western Massachusetts, in protest of the onerous debt collection system of the newly formed Commonwealth. Feisty Samuel Allen headed up the group from Ashfield. After the rebellion was suppressed, many of the farmers refused to swear the oath of allegiance that was required. Like Samuel, they lost their right to vote. The people of Ashfield called Samuel Barefoot Allen for his habit of walking shoeless. He always spoke well of the time he had spent with the Indians. But not long after Shays' Rebellion, Samuel left Ashfield for a new town in the north, in an area that would become Vermont, where some of his cousins, including Ethan, had chosen to live. In this way, Samuel also moved closer to the experience at the center of his childhood. I'm telling you this story because I live in the house in Ashfield that Barefoot Allen built. At night, I lie in bed beneath a pair of 40-foot-long hand-hewn beams. I like to imagine Samuel as he retraced the journey north he had made as a boy and followed the old Indian paths back again to wilder places.